Hey yoga friends, today we're going to take a look at plantar fasciitis, and particularly in this part one of the video two-part series, I'm going to help you understand what is the chronic nature of this issue. If you've ever had plantar fasciitis, you know what I'm talking about. It doesn't seem to go away. It may have started out as a dull pain, like a pebble in your shoe, and then getting to the point where it's unbearable, especially first thing in the morning or after you've been sitting for a while. So the plantar fascia is a thick ligament-like band of fascia in the foot. I've made an illustration for you. It connects to your heel bone and extends all the way, this thick band, up to the base of the toes where it fingers out towards them. Most people feel the irritation or inflammation of this band. The itis is the inflammation right at the front of the heel. On my little mini skeleton, you can see the heel bone, bony protrusion of the heel bone, and then the thick band up to the base of the toes. So this is what we're talking about. It can happen if you wear shoes that are not fitted for your arch, either too short or spanning the arch too long. So having well-fitted shoes from the moment you put them on is really important. The other nuance that contributes to the chronic nature is really about what you're doing in your particular foot. So there's not a one approach fits all feet. Feet have nuance and a number of bones, 26 bones, tons of muscles in the feet and ligaments. And even your right foot can be different than your left. And I'm going to try to unpack for you what you need to understand so that you know how to work with your plantar fasciitis and finally make peace with it. This is my promise to you. So in general, we have one of two tendencies in the feet. One is called supination. And if your foot is supinated, you might believe or have the experience or even look and think that you have high arches. High arches are supinators. You can see here, I tend towards supination. I have a pretty well-developed arch in my foot, and if I don't pay attention, I can actually get plantar fasciitis right here on my right foot. It's a little bit more imbalanced than my left. And there's other things that point to that. I have a small bunion on this foot too, so I'm constantly trying to pay attention. So if the foot is misaligned this way, the plantar fascia, that thick band, it doesn't get a whole lot of blood flow, gets really shortened, and it pulls with great force on the heel. And this can also lead to bone spurs. There's other things that contribute to plantar fasciitis, but I'm going to focus on the feet in this video so you really begin to understand the foundation of how to make changes here. So that's one type of condition in the foot or tendency, and we all have different degrees of it. It can vary from one foot to the other, and again, supination is thinking that you have high arches. A high arch is good, but not if it's done with an imbalance of how you're planting your foot on the earth, and we're going to look at what that means. The second tendency is pronation, and this is a rolling in on the inner side of the foot. If you pronate, you may find yourself thinking to yourself, I have flat feet. I've always had flat feet. And you would tell people, oh, I have flat feet. Well, this condition, pronation, where you roll in on the foot, puts pressure on the band. And that pressure with impact, like walking or running or CrossFit, whatever you do, your physical activity, putting constant pressure, repeated pressure on the foot at this place is going to cause that itis of the plantar fascia. So in order to be relieved of the chronic nature, you've got to understand what's going on in your foot. And we'll do a little bit more to help you feel it and then how to balance it out. In part two of the video, I'll offer you some remedies that are good for no matter what your tendency, but if you have one or the other, if you tend towards supination or pronation, I will emphasize what you need to pay attention to in this exercise. And should you go and research other exercises, there's tons out there. You need to bring this tidbit of information about what's going on in your foot to understand how to use that exercise properly. All right, let's start to address what makes a foot supinated and pronated. And again, this is the introductory level to understanding the feet. And there's always more that we can go more in depth with, but to get you started and build that understanding, yoga therapy in the body really is about building deep self-awareness. You can call it proprioception, knowing what your body is doing in space. Having the awareness of what your foot is doing when you're standing, sitting, and walking. All right, let's take a look. I made an illustration on the other foot right here. Can you see I've made an X on my foot. There's a red stripe of the X and a blue stripe. And I show them where this blue one begins at the ball mound of the big toe and extends to what I call the outer heel point. The red stripe starts at the ball mound of the little toe and extends to the inner heel point. Recognizing these 4 points in your foot and learning how to work with them is key. So, standing up now. Take note, I have on the top of my foot the same illustration. This is on the bottom of the foot, the ball mound of the big toe, going to the outer heel point, the ball mound of the little toe going to the inner heel point. You can think of these as like straps on a sandal when I make reference to where you have to root. All right, so we've talked about 4 corners of the feet, and I'm going to show you how to place them just if you're standing. Let's start up there. So, come up, let's stand up with me, do this right now with me, and come up on your toes. And just notice if you tend to put more weight on your little toe side of the foot or the big toe. This is a big indicator right away if you're pronating or supinating. A supinator will put more weight on the little toe point, the pronator more on the big toe. But as you can imagine, we need to be balanced. For right now, just place weight on the big toe ball mound. Stretch your arch back and place the inner heel point down. Keep those points and spread the toes and place the ball mound of the little toe and the outer heel. I want to repeat that. Come up on your toes, place the ball mound of the big toe, stretch the arch back, and place the inner heel. Spread the toes, ball mound of the little toe, outer heel. Close your eyes and just compare that foot to the other one. You may notice it feels more grounded, rooted in the earth, and balanced. That's what we're going for. It can take practice. So, next, what happens with the supinators and pronators? Well, supination first. And supination, again, is when you think, I have really high arches, look. Place the ball mound of the big toe down, inner heel, and you've got to keep those points rooted. As you spread your toes and put the ball mound of the little toe down, what happens for supinators is they lift up their heel to put all their toes down on the floor. That's the beginning of shortening the plantar fascia and pulling on the heel and creating the itis. So big toe mound, inner heel, little toe mound, outer heel. You've got to practice this and grow to love this placement. Pronators, next. The straps of the sandals. If we put the ball mound of the big toe down, inner heel, the pronator rolls in. And this outer strap will get pulled on the outer heel. I'll go this direction for you guys. Ball mound of the big toe, inner heel. Next, I'm going to have you root the outer heel point, keeping the big toe point down and then your little toes. One more time. Up on your toes, root the ball mound of the toe, stretch back, inner heel, outer heel, ball mound of the big toe. So that's the foundational work that we're going to take to the second video, where we'll actually look at some exercises to help you get out of this plantar fasciitis chronic condition. Tune in, and thanks for this checking out this first really important nuance about the feet video.